The Algarve region of Portugal, a haven for tourists who flock to this southern part of Europe for the relaxing climate of sea, sun and sand. In contrast, for those looking for the thrill of speed, Portimao is the place to be and has welcomed race fans from many forms of motorsport since the late 2000s. The Karting International Algarve once again opens its doors to the FIA Karting paddock for the start of the FIA Karting Academy Trophy campaign, as well as the second round of the European Championship season for both the OK and OK Junior categories. With over 170 drivers across OK and OK Junior on the entry list, the focus is to either continue the strong performances seen in Campillos for round one, or to get the season back on track with the points up for grabs here in Portugal. A testing circuit for both driver and mechanic, with its mix of power-hungry straights, technical sections and gentle undulations. Making the right choices on setup can very much make the difference here in Portimao. And so, with the practices complete, it's time to go racing here in Portugal for the opener of the FIA Karting Academy Trophy for the seniors, and for OK and OKJ, round two for the mondokart.com FIA Karting European Championship. Let's go with Maria Neto around her home circuit on this year's calendar, the Karting International Algarve. The lap starts quick with high speeds through the right-handers of turns 1 and 2, before a tricky stop on the brakes into another right-hander, turn 3. Drivers thread their way through turns 4 and then the hairpin turn 5. Exit speed is key for the drivers as the revs build through two medium-speed left-handers. Turn 6 and turn 7 give the drivers the opportunity to prepare for the double apexes of turns 8 and 9, a key overtaking chance for those strong on the brakes. Setup parameters such as gearing and tyre pressures are important for turns 10 and 11, testing a driver's bravery and ability to control the grip before another overtaking hotspot presents itself through turns 12 and 13. 14 and 15 are one of the slowest parts of the track. The exit from 15 sets out a driver's scenario for the end of the lap. Overtakes possible through turn 16, but beware from the curb on driver's left. Turn 17 brings a lap of this 1.5 kilometre circuit to a close. The FIA Karting Academy Trophy is back. New for 2025, a senior category aimed at drivers aged 14 to 16. 36 drivers selected by their national sporting authorities to compete across 3 rounds to become the inaugural winner. Heavy rain at Portimao meant the start of the final would be delayed. With the skies clearing, the drivers focused on what would be a 20-lap final aboard their single-make OTK chassis, with the Vortex brand providing the power once again this year within the OKN technical framework. Most would go with dry tyres. Only Argentina's Simon Bulbarella starting 34th would go with wets. Japan's Yuzuki Sato would start on pole position, winner of 2 heats. The other heat winner, Poland's Wojciech Woda, would share the front row. Ahead of the formation laps, there would be issues for a number of drivers, including the UK's Harrison Whitcomb and Greece's Vasilios Malamis. Off the start, Sato would hold the early lead ahead of Italy's Riccardo Ferrari. Woda would fall down the order, and his early break from the tram lines would result in a 3-second time penalty. The first big test for the field, braking into turn 3 on the slick tyres. Chile's Agustin Sepulveda making a good move past Ferrari and into second place. The first lap would claim several retirements though. Otto Sakala, Joachim Asklund, Philipp Lenk, Simas Bachuska and Kimi Ray all out in the early stages. Lap 2 and Denmark's Niklas Venn has a close moment through turn 5, losing many positions but remaining in the race. Hungary's Donat Nemegrogli would not be so lucky. Jana Pascal, Eva Dornstein and Wojciech Woda would also retire. The field was already down to less than 30 runners, as Bulbarella on those wet tyres was tearing through the field, soon breaking up into the top 10. The bigger question though for the Argentine, could those treaded tyres stay in good shape for the whole race with a lack of water around the 1.5 kilometre circuit to cool them as the race progressed? In the meantime, the Argentine pushed on past former leader Sato, which started to fade. Lap 5, and with Belgium's Arthur Huang now leading, Colombia's Amador Martinez fought with Sepulveda for second place. A touch between them off turn 3 would put the Chilean off and down the order, showing how tough conditions truly were. Meanwhile, Bulbarella's progress meant he was up to 4th. However, the tide of the race would turn. As the slick runners got their tyres into the best temperature window, their pace would increase. Sato firstly getting back past the Argentine, quickly followed by Devon Hargeland. Bulbarella needed more rain to come quickly for the gamble to pay off. At least off the racing line was still treacherous for the others, as found out by Sweden's Mio Lern, who quickly found themselves in a new battle for 7th place with Turkey's Eytes Birinci. The conditions continued to prove problematic. Elsewhere on track, Georgia's Georgi Samalashvili would become retirement number 11 from the final. On to lap 7, a move from Birinci down the inside of Romania's Mircea Marcopatru would result in a touch with Alert, a half spin for the Turkish driver and a descent out of the top 10. Meanwhile, Devon Hargeland of the Netherlands would take 4th place away from Sato with a beautiful switchback through turn 5 on lap 8. The race quickly turning into a challenge for who had got their setup correct. Overtaking opportunities were opening up as the track dried. Martinez down the inside of Hoang on lap 9 to take the lead at the halfway point of the race. Hoang wouldn't give up though, diving down the inside of Martinez through turn 5 a lap later, initially too much speed to make the move stick. Lap 11 would be better. A good run through turn 1 gave Hoang the inside line to turn 2 and a route back to the lead of the race. But with speed and confidence in such conditions can come danger. Lap 12 and Hoang crashes at turn 3 and with it the door to become the first FIA Karting Academy Trophy senior race winner closed. Lap 14 and pole sitter Sato was coming back at those quick in the first half. Good speed past Hargeland would move the 410 back up to 3rd place. Sato wasn't done there. 2 laps later he'd go for Ferrari's 2nd place, but a touch and both running wide would allow Hargeland back through. Clouds would hang over the Dutch driver though, both physically and metaphorically. An investigation for the 419 from earlier in the race was in motion. Sato pushed on, catching and passing Hargeland before reeling in Martinez by lap 19. A brilliant run meant the pole sitter was now back on top, but for how much longer as the track continued to evolve and get quicker by each lap. One more lap and the contest wasn't done. Sato's defence for Martinez would bring Hargeland back into the mix and into 2nd place. Through turn 15, Sato runs wide. Hargeland able to draw alongside, neither giving an inch into turn 16. Contact, and the door opened once more for Martinez to slip down the inside and take the checkered flag first from Sato, Hargeland and Ferrari. A late race charge from the Italian that would turn out to be crucial. The officials would be busy after the race, a front fairing issue for Martinez, and incident judgments for both Sato and Hargeland would result in all of them receiving at least 5-second penalties, amongst others in a dramatic final. Ferrari would be declared the race winner after investigations from Martinez, Sato and recovering Vejan. A great drive from Skulak up 23 places to 5th. Also in the top 10 would be Alert, Sepulveda, Adekin, Russell and Avril. The top 3 in Portugal for the first FIA Karting Academy Trophy senior podium. A tense battle throughout, with those cool under the pressure of the conditions coming out on top.
Yeah, I'm really happy about the weekend. We make a lot of progress, especially in the rain condition. In the wet we struggle a bit, but it's okay. We will work for Viterbo in Italy, and yeah, overall it's been a pretty good weekend. Yeah, we take a really good result. And yeah, looking forward for the other round. Secure arriving at first position in the championship in Viterbo is really good to fight for the championship. Yeah, the weather was really strange. The final especially was a really tricky condition, but I managed to win, and yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, it was very exciting. I mean, the raining was very hard to predict the weather. It was sun when we were about to go, and then it started to rain, and we were a little bit nervous because we didn't know how to deal with that situation. We ended up going with the slicks, so being careful the first laps with the slicks, trying to understand how the track is drying up, find the limit, of course with slicks and wet. So yeah, it was good, and I managed to pass on the straight first, and I'm very happy with that result. Yeah,
I think so. Very good weekend. So, but this one's a very difficult week. So the practice session in the top 10. So during the top 10, so difficult. In the dry condition is difficult. So in races, so I'm not satisfied. so didn't work the race week.
The second round for the OK Junior European Championship had seen a varied mix of drivers and machinery compete to a high level through the course of the qualifying heats and superheats. Those looking quick included several from Forza Racing, Ward Racing and more. In total, 9 drivers had sampled finishing first in the prior heats, all of them looking to stop the impressive form of championship leader Noah Baglin. A competitive final was almost guaranteed as the drivers prepared themselves for 17 laps of the Portimao circuit, and along with the array of heat-winning drivers, 9 different teams had a presence in the first 8 rows. Kart Republic's Will Green would start from pole position alongside Forza Racing's William Kalesia. It would be all to play for in OKJ. Near-perfect starts for both Green and Kalesia on the front row would see an incredibly close run towards the first braking zone. The Ward Racing duo of Dan Alleman and Narata Endo would follow behind, with championship leader Baglin holding the inside line in 5th. The first flashpoint of the final would come at turn 3. Close quarters racing between the front runners left the gap for Victory Lane's Lucas L to take an early lead. Green, coming off worst, would drop outside the top 5. Baglin's quick start from row 3 would provide him with the launch pad to pass for second place, leaving the Ward Racing duo of Alleman and Endo to go wheel to wheel, and teammate Dean Hoogendoorn not too far behind. Several drivers didn't see the end of lap 1, including Leo Gorski, Turner Brown, Jean-Matteo Russo, Giacomo Giusto and Bosco Arias. The end of the second lap would see a hairy incident occur, taking Ilya Boreskin and Asher Oxley out of contention. Both drivers okay, but understandably unhappy. Lap 3, Alleman attacked for Baglin's second place into turn 3. The Swiss driver's move making a path for Hoogendoorn and Endo to both gain ahead of the Briton. The chasing group needed to get themselves organised to chase down Sell, who had a second as the advantage. Hoogendoorn took it upon himself to lead the charge, heading past Alleman on lap 4, looking to claw points back in the championship to his teammate and rival Baglin, whilst Endo used turn 5 to get past his teammate Alleman for third. Further back in the pack, DPK's Martin Bertoluccini and Tony Kart's Nikita Lubimov would retire, although in more positive for the latter team, Eli Christian was now the fastest driver on track. Baglin was next to change Alleman's race outlook. A move through turns 8 and 9 put him back into 4th. The moves weren't finished for 4th place, Dan Alleman responding down into turn 13, putting Baglin back into 5th place and giving further hope to pole sitter Will Green, sat in 6th, but still hoping for a podium. Lap 5 and Alleman and Baglin were at it again, once more turn 13 the scene of their latest act, and into 4th place would go Baglin. Hoogendoorn's pace at the front was mighty, and on lap 6, the Williams Jr. took the lead from Sell, and with a clear road, looked to break away. Endo continued to progress with his own move on Sell, repeating the show of excellence to turn 5 to take 2nd place. Seeing his Prema Racing teammates breaking away, Noah Baglin eagerly moved up to 3rd place, past Sell, with another move in the tight and twisty sequence of turns 12 through 15. And in an approach of if it isn't broken, don't fix it, Baglin again used the same section to get past Endo on lap 7 for 2nd place. Communication clear between Baglin and Sell to work together to catch the race leader. Iskender Sulfikari's day for Forza Racing would end on lap 7 to become the 10th retirement from the final. The battle for the top 5 raged on. Lap 8, and Endo threw past Sell for 3rd place, whilst pole sitter Green was back in the pack and looking to build on his points tally from earlier in the weekend. The 2025 OKJ debutant looked to get past Sell through turn 13, but had to wait till turn 16 for success. An overtake which would open the door for Alleman and a shrewd Eli Christian, the Tony Kart driver gaining 2 for the price of 1 with magnificent positioning. Start of the next lap, and Alleman went for the overtake on Christian on the brakes into turn 3. Close piece of racing which encouraged Henry Domain to get in on the act in the battle for key championship points for all involved. Well into the second half of the final, and Christian returned the favour to Alleman on lap 10. Alleman losing out this time to Sell, Domain and a charging Drew Waltz for Kart Republic. It had been another positive final for the American. Having started 9th and with consistent pace, he'd given himself a chance of a top 5. A move on lap 14 into turn 3 on Sell would take him up to 7th. Back with the leaders, Hoogendoorn was clear. The outstanding question was who would join him on the podium. Final lap and Baglin and Endo once more fought over second place, with Green still very much in with a shout. Endo shut the door on Green into turn 8, leaving Baglin to break clear and secure a Prema 1-2. With Eli Christian closing in, the debate over third would be decided at turn 14. All three drivers interlocking with each other, leaving Green and Endo stranded at the side of the track. No points from the final for either driver. Up the road, there would be no problems for Dean Hoogendoorn. A mature performance and a first FIA karting victory for the Dutchman, and the second Prema 1-2 of the season. And with key competitors unable to see the flag, Hoogendoorn closes the gap in the title stakes. The top 10 in Portugal for OKJ. Hoogendoorn and Baglin make it back-to-back Prema 1-2s. Christian's experience pays off for third. Domain and Drew Waltz score well in the top 5. Alaman, Antonio Pitsonia Jr., Sel, Michael McGoy and Remy Samchik round out the top 10. How key will Portimao's final be come the end of the season? All three on the podium know the hard work for the second half of the championship starts off the back of these achievements. And for Prema, an inter-team battle that could go all the way.
Yeah, overall a great week, of course. Great championship points as well. No, overall really great week with a lot of different conditions. Yeah, really happy. It was definitely for the team hard as well. Very unpredictable about the chassis, but of course very nice to drive in a lot of different conditions and very experienced with that. So really nice to drive in.
Yeah, it's been great with the consistency from Campillos and now, and the points have been great. Obviously, we've got all the points from Campillos and now. A bit unlucky with the DSQ, but the points we've gathered this weekend is very good and very strong, and hopefully we hit the ground running with the turbo.
This race, I didn't expect to get a podium. I was expecting to get a good result because I knew I had pace on the dry. I got a little bit lucky because they were firing low in front. Had a good start, and in general the final was a very good race. I'm very confident maybe we can do a good result this championship, since in Campillos and now we had great pace, so we see what we can do.
Yeah, obviously very good. If we watched the grid for the final, probably we didn't expect this outcome. We knew they could have a good race, but we didn't think we'd get 1-2. But the start played into our hands. And we just used all the data from last weekend to put together, which was a difficult track condition, but we put everything together and they both did the job. So.
The senior drivers of the paddock entered the second final of the year off the back of a challenging run of heats, with a staggering number of 11 heat winners, including the likes of Lev Krutoholov, Victor Gustafsson and the young Chargers Filippo Salo and Kenzo Craigie. The treacherous conditions earlier in the meeting were the catalyst for a surprising order up and down the grid of 36, giving those further down the grid a chance to strike through into the points, including Jacopo Martinezzi in good form at the start of the weekend. Vegard Clementson and Timo Ramekers entered the final amongst those knowing how to take wins round the Algarve circuit. However, eyes would be on the skies and on pole sitter Christian Costoya to see who would get the best from a front row completed by surprise package Krutoholov. 20 laps underway for the final in Portugal, and it wasn't a good getaway for those on the anti-pole side of the grid. Krutoholov dragging and holding up the likes of Joe Turney and Daniel Kelleher. Costoya led into turn 3, followed by Zak Drummond and another surprise of the weekend, Noah Wolfe. Jenson Burnett and Campillos round winner James Anagnostiadis also had positive starts and were soon up into the top 5. Joe Turney would lead the chasing pack in 6th. Early on the second lap, and Noah Wolfe goes down the inside of fellow Briton Drummond, taking his Van Amersfoort Racing-backed Birrell ART up to 2nd place. Anagnostiadis, who dispatched a Burnett, soon pounced to briefly take 3rd. Burnett getting the best exit to move his Forza Racing Esprit back into the podium places. Gino Rocchio's race would end early after 2 laps, as the rest of the field contended with the balance of managing tyres and the chance of rain to come later in the race. Joe Turney soon rose to 5th place past Drummond, the reigning European champion needing a big result to get his title defence going after a low-scoring opening round of the year. 3rd would be his soon, going past Burnett on lap 5. Close behind for company was Prema's Anagnostiadis. Turn 8's the choice for the Australian again to pounce and take Burnett's 4th place. Danny Kelleher had been quick through preparations for Portimao and was soon fighting with Drummond, Burnett, Dries van Langendonk and Timo Ramekes for 5th place. The end of lap 5 though would see one of the potentially seismic moments in this year's championship. Turney wide through turn 16, caught the curb on driver's left, pitching his Kart Republic into a spin. The fine margins on show as Anagnostiadis nearly suffered the same problem one place behind. The reigning champion was out and non-scoring for the second final in the row in 2025. His championship defence now sadly in an almost unrecoverable position with only 2 rounds to go. Van Langendonk's race pace gave the 2024 OKJ European champion the chance to take Burnett's 6th place on lap 8. Whilst ahead of him, Timo Ramekes' final speed was much better than that in Spain. An overtake on Kelleher, a useful measure to move up to 4th. Another of the young chargers looking to make their mark was Roman Kamyab, the Ricky Flynn Motorsport driver taking the opportunity on lap 12 to get ahead of Van Langendonk for 6th place, whilst the rain continued to hold off. Lap 16, Zak Drummond holds on to 3rd place for Fusion Motorsport ahead of Ramekes, Kelleher and Kamyab. A nifty move from the Irishman puts the 116 back to 4th place. Kamyab continued to impress, this time down the inside of Ramekes with a daring move through T7 to take 5th place on the penultimate lap. Francois Cadal and Davide Battaro would come together with just over a lap to go. The incident resulting in a DQ for the Italian, who continues to have a tough season. Back at the front, Christian Costoya came home untroubled by both the opposition and the climate, taking the win in Portugal, a first for him in the OK category, and a first FIA final win since Christian started in OK Junior last year. The weekend's performance, amassing 100 points to his tally, also puts the Spaniard at the top of the standings, 23 clear of Anagnostiadis at the halfway point. The result in Portugal, Costoya smashes in a superb performance ahead of a breakthrough weekend for Wolfe in 2nd. Drummond makes up to the disappointments in Spain with 3rd, Kelleher and Kamyab complete the top 5, whilst Ramekes, Van Langendonk, Burnett, Anagnostiadis and Gustafsson further accumulate points in the top 10. The second podium of 2025 shows once again how competitive the OK category is this year, with only Costoya making it to the rostrum in both finals so far. The top 5 covered by less than a score of a final victory, it's all to play for in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think it was a very tricky weekend, also because of the conditions. Sometimes dry, sometimes wet. Sometimes the sun comes out and you think it's gonna be dry, but it's still wet. Yeah, and I think in the heat we just try to survive sometimes and take the best place as possible, and then to start like this in the top positions in the final. Yeah, in the final you can battle, and yeah, I think the final it was in our way. It was going dry, and yeah, we have the pace there, and it was a good thing just for the championship, good points, and yeah.
I was giving it everything, but at the end we didn't quite have the setup completely nailed like Christian did. So the pace was amazing at the start, like blistering. I couldn't believe I was actually catching up to him. And then at the end it sort of went away a bit too much with a few things we can improve, but ultimately a P2 is an amazing achievement and a big step forwards for where we have been. We've had a lot of problems with me and the team getting into a rhythm with the track, and ultimately it all came together for qualifying. It wasn't an easy, it rained, stopped rained, and we didn't know what it was going to do, and ultimately the English in me helped a little bit, and to drive in the conditions I just enjoyed it, and ultimately the result came.
Yeah, obviously there was quite a train behind me because we didn't really have the pace in the final, but I just tried to remain calm and just push all the time. But I think we kept a good gap to Daniel or Thibaut, who was behind me at the time, and we just kept it until the last lap.
Well, it has been a tremendous weekend. Personally, I can't recall such a difficult race in my whole experience as a team manager. And I have to say that Christian and the whole team, even Bo, was amazing this weekend, and they really did an amazing job, because it was not easy to be consistent with all these changes of conditions, not only in terms of performance but even mentally for the drivers, for mechanics. You know, a small mistake in this condition can cost you the weekend and a whole bunch of points. So to go away from this race with 100 points is really something I'm very proud of.
The first half of the 2025 season for the OK and OKJ European Championships is complete, with the seniors in the FIA Karting Academy underway as well, after 3 thrilling finals here in Portimao. In OK Junior, the continuing dynamic battle between Dean Hoogendoorn and Noah Baglin entices fans for what's set to come next. Each of the Prema drivers leave the Iberian Peninsula with 1 round apiece. In OK, Christian Costoya's fast and consistent start to 2025 marks him out as the driver to beat. Can he build on the experience gained in last year's junior campaign, stay on course and continue to deliver for the Parolin Motorsport team? The answers will come in early June as the drivers head to a new circuit. Viterbo hosts the next chapter. We hope to see you there.